Hi, I'm Cash with CashedOutCars, and in today's video, I'm going to give you the complete guide on how to install these Hella 500 and Hella 700 lights. This guide will show you how to install your Hella light kit in your car in a way that the lights are controlled by a switch and can be turned on at any time that the ignition is on. The information in this video is good for other light kits too, although the wire color and harness may be different. First, I'll give you a description of where each wire goes in case that's all you need. Following that, I'll give a much more detailed explanation on how to install your lights. The red wire goes to the positive terminal of the battery. The black wire is the output for the lamps, which goes directly to both of the Hella lights and connects to the black wires that are already on there. The blue wire is your ground, which goes to the negative terminal on the battery or any other ground. And the small blue wire is the ground for the switch, which goes to terminal 3, which is labeled on the switch. Your yellow wire, which is a trigger for the relay, goes to the center position on the switch, which is labeled terminal 2. And the green wire, which is power, which needs to go to a 12-volt power source, is what powers the switch and goes to terminal 1 on the switch. Whenever you're working with electronics, it's always a good idea to disconnect the battery first. This prevents you from shocking yourself or accidentally shorting out your electronics. Once your battery is disconnected, you could connect your relay to the wiring harness, which is provided in the Hella kit. Simply press the relay's connectors into the harness. Then find a spot to mount your relay. Doing this first allows you to plan out your wiring lengths accordingly. I mounted mine right to the battery box. I chose to hook up switch power for my lights from a 12-volt ignition switch circuit in the fuse block. This ensures that the lights will not stay on unless the key is in the ignition and in the on position. To find this type of fuse slot, I used a test light. To determine which locations are switched, touch the metal probe to the metal in the fuse location. The light should not light when the ignition is off, but when the key is turned, the light should come on. Once you've found your location for power for your switch, which, by the way, doesn't need to be controlled by the ignition, you could find a location to mount your switch. I chose next to my factory headlight switch. Drill a hole that is slightly larger than the diameter of the switch, and then you may also have to file it to fit the square key that is molded into the switch. Once this is done, go ahead and feed the necessary wires through the hole for the switch. These wires include the green one, which is the power for the switch, the blue wire, which is the ground for the switch, and the yellow wire, which is part of the wiring harness. Note that you will have to run some wires through your firewall to get them into the cabin of the car. Now you could connect the green wire to the switch power location that you determined before. I used a crimp-on connector to do this. This style connector requires you to strip the end of your wire, insert it into the connector, and crimp it down. Next, connect the blue wire to a ground. You can test continuity of the ground using a multimeter, but you are essentially looking for a connection to your frame to complete the circuit. If you're having trouble finding grounds, search for your car's ground locations online. Using the crimp-on connectors, connect the 3 wires that I just described to your switch. The yellow wire goes in the middle, terminal 2, the green on the outside, labeled terminal 1, and the blue on the other outside, which is labeled terminal 3. And note that these labels are pretty small, so you might have to look closely. With all that connected, your switch is good to go. I'd recommend mounting your lights next. To do this, slide the thicker bolt through the bracket and slide this through your mounting location. I mounted my lights to tabs on a custom bumper I made. Once through the mounting point, slide the lock washer on, followed by the nut, and tighten it down. I ended up using some extra washers as spacers, but this is optional. Then, position the light in the bracket and slide the thinner bolt through. Next, install the lock washer and nut. Tighten this down once the light is positioned roughly where you want it. I'll have another video on aiming lights on my channel, so if you're interested, feel free to check that out. With your lights positioned, you could finish up the wiring. Route the black wire from the relay to the light mounting location. Connect the black wire from the lights themselves to the wire that comes out of the wiring harness. I used the crimp-on butt connectors that were supplied with this kit. To use these, it's pretty similar to the connectors that I showed earlier. Simply strip the wire and twist the strands together, then insert it into the connector and crimp it. Once one side is in, insert the other wire you're trying to connect and crimp it down, and then you'll have a good connection between the wires. Connect the blue wires off of the lights to grounds on the car. You could combine both grounds so you only have to run one wire, which is what I did. Finally, connect the red wire to the positive terminal on your battery and the blue wire from the wiring harness to a ground. I zip tied the extra length and also taped extra wires during this install to keep it nice and neat. Test the system to make sure it works as expected. If it does, you're good to go and you could put your switch in place and reassemble your car. I hope this video helps you install your Hella or other aftermarket auxiliary lights with ease. Also, if you're interested in seeing a rally Volkswagen build, check out my build of my Rabbit on my channel. Thanks for watching, subscribe for more, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take care.